Good morning.
Morning, sir.
I don't see anybody else here, so I'm assuming they're all in good shape. But what I was thinking is, first of all, do you have any questions about the test?
Not particular about the test, but I was going over question 5 from the assignment,
Okay.
and the ones that you posted, you had I'll probably share my screen so it's easier to explain. Uh, Share screen. uh, Choose entire screen. Yeah, there we go. Can you see my screen?
I can see your screen.
So I was going over the questions, and you had this as the answer, and you had 34 here and 80 here. But on the assignment, there was no 34 degrees and the dotted line.
Hmm.
So I don't know. I did it. I was looking over it and I did it wrong, but I didn't see any of the 34 or the dotted line.
So you have to figure that out. Let's go through it. Let's go through it. I just drew the dotted line to help myself. So let's go through it. Pull up the question. Okay. So there's a few ways you can do this. In the question, you mentioned something that the answer has added stuff. Well, let's take a look at what was added. So let's put the north here and let's continue this here. So let everybody in. So if this is 56 and this is 80, what is this going to be? This is just to give you options, right? So this is going to be equal to 180 minus 80 minus 56 degrees is equal to, what is that? 100 minus 56 is what? 44? I think this is 44 degrees. Similarly, you can calculate this. This is going to be 90 minus 56 degrees is what? 34 degrees. Because a right angled triangle is always 90 degrees and a straight line is always 180 degrees. Does that make more sense?
Yeah, and also I thought I had to use the 56. I thought
You,
the 56 was one of the quadrants,
okay, well, you would use the 56 for 145.
but I didn't see 56 in the answer that you put. It was just the 46 you got and
Okay,
34 degrees and then the
let's
100.
let's do it the way you did it. Let's try the way you did it. See how you ended up where you ended up. So what was your next step after this?
Um, I did um the I put F2 as the triangle between the 145 and the 100 as F2.
Okay, so okay. So which was F1? Which one did you put as F1?
F1 was the big one, the 200,
Okay, so that's
between
F
200,
F1. Is this F2?
and then between the 56, I chose the F2.
Okay, if I understand correctly, this is F2?
Yeah,
Okay, F2, good. How about this one? This would be F3?
yeah.
Okay, good.
Oh, I think I know what I did wrong. I put 45 instead of 145 on part of that. Hmm.
Yep, so in order to actually get the components of this, you have to determine this angle. And that's why I did 180 minus 80 minus 56. Because if I get this angle, then I can easily get F1y and F1x.
Okay. Just let me write this down. Try how much.
Here I don't need to calculate any angle. I've already got the angle that will help me get F2y and F2x.
100 equals F1, and then this is 80, 56. F3, this is 145, and equals F2, 100, that's 3.
This is what I would do for F1. F2, it would be, so F2y would be equal to 145 times sine 56, and F2x would be 145 cosine 56 degrees. We change the camera here, be easier for you to see.
Okay.
So that would be for F2, and then F3
It's just 100.
is equal to 100 newtons, and F3y is equal to 0. So if you added those, you should get the right answer.
Oh, I see what I did wrong.
Make sure
Okay.
you don't make a mistake with the minus. Yeah, because I think the angles got you in a bit of trouble. So let's just double check.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. All right. So this is not really a new lecture. I know I was a little bit late. I was out the past few days. Um, there's no new content. This session is for you to ask me any questions or ask me to go over stuff that might not be making sense. So anybody else here who wants me to cover something or discuss something? Are you guys all okay with the times? I'm talking about 401 and 402. So for 401 and 402, the suggested times are 11 a.m. and it'll last till about 12:15 p.m. The only reason why I asked that you attend one of these sessions is I just want to make sure you're doing the test yourself. The other option is for the other alternate is 3:30 p.m. to 4:45 p.m. And if neither of those work, then get in touch with me by email and we'll sort this out. Okay. Was that part clear?
Yep.
I have a question. All right, Sarah is the best. Okay, are you, Sarah, are you in 701? You're in 701, right? So the people who are in 701, I will be printing and giving you the test paper. You don't have to bring your device. Uh, People who are in 401 and 402, they would have to write it at home and then upload it, scan it and upload it. One of the suggestions that I've made, and I think you guys have been okay with following that, is you've got different devices that scan and convert your write up into a PDF. So that's really helpful. When you submit to different pages, sometimes I get lost as when you send JPEGs. Okay. Uh, Now, for those of you who are in 701, this will be the last time I might see you in person because they've scheduled our environmental convocation for Friday the 13th. So I'll have to do what I do with the other sections and post a recording. I'm not allowed to miss that, especially when they've suspended the environmental program. So for the tests, usually, just go through a few things. Since you guys seem to know everything and you don't really need my help. I mean, nobody seems to be asking anything. So I'm pretty confident you're going to do really well this week. There's a few pieces of advice I'll give you guys. And this might not all be relevant to you this year, but let's see, how do I do the share? There's another question. I know Freddie mentioned the formula sheet. Yes, yes, yes. You can have, so on the formula sheet, here's what I would recommend that you have. Good question. Make sure you have a complete understanding of SOHCAHTOA. So I'm not sure who's, okay. So make sure you have a complete understanding of SOHCAHTOA. What does each mean? Make sure like for this angle, this is opposite, this is adjacent, and this is hypotenuse, no matter which angle it is. Make sure that you remind yourself that for x, like let's say this is the x component, it's a negative, and for a y component, this is a negative. Okay, for an x component in this direction, it's a positive, and for an y component in this direction, it's a positive. And this is where a lot of people get into trouble when they forget that. Okay, that's a good question. Let's see, what else do I have here? I thought I could actually share. Let's see if I can share something here. This is not all relevant from this year, but some of it is. Okay, okay, hopefully are you able to see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, good. So there are going to be 5 questions. I believe this is relevant to this year. So all 5 are from the vectors portion. You'll have, and this is a little bit different, so it'll be an hour and 15 minutes. Bring your conversion sheets, no solved examples. I will ask you to hold up your uh, sheets just to make sure. Always have a unit for your answer. Try to sketch your vectors so it's easier for you. And if you don't calculate the direction, if it's asked, your answer is complete. And a vector needs direction. Now, I do prefer the triangle method, but if you don't like that method, it's okay. You can use whatever method you want. So what do I mean by that? Always having the direction or always having the units. I've seen a few of you do a really good job, and you'll end up with an answer that the resultant is 213 point, let's say 16. You lose a point because you didn't put units. And also you lose a point because um, if you don't have direction, that doesn't really give me a complete answer. So let's say you've calculated the resultant, right? Let's say you got Rx, and then you've got, sorry, Ry, and then you've got Rx. So you can get the magnitude by simply, let's say you've gotten, that's 2 newtons, and this is 2.6 newtons. So you can simply run a calculation where R, the magnitude of R, is equal to 2.6 square plus 2 square root 2, is that 2.6? Yeah, 6 squared. It's equal to 6.76 plus 4, 10.76 square root. You have an answer of 3.28 newtons. Right, don't forget to put the direction. And then, sorry, then the unit. This has been missing in a few cases for some of you. And this is the angle that you're looking for. If you get that angle, I'll consider it a complete answer. So let's say this is theta. So how would you calculate theta? Tangent of theta is equal to opposite over adjacent. So opposite in this case is r from this angle's point of view. Is ry, so that's 2. Adjacent is 2.6. So theta is the inverse tan of 2 over 2.6. 37.57 degrees. So think about what other questions you might have, and we'll go through it. Otherwise, we can end this session soon. Okay, like if you look at, see somebody's got a message coming. Okay, so yeah, you do have to draw a sketch. It doesn't have to be completely accurate, but let's say, you should draw a sketch. Let's say your Rx is 24 newtons and your Ry is minus 6 newtons. How will you know how to draw it? Well, let's say this is your origin. This is a minus. So just sketch 6 newtons. Then you got our x is 24. It's positive 24 newtons. So then, which way is the resultant? It's going to be this way. Okay. And then you can determine the angle, one of these angles, either this one or this one. Let's take another scenario. Let's say Rx is 2.665 and our y is 3.66. Okay, I did do it downward. This was downwards. This was downwards. So if you didn't see the arrow. And this was positive 24. Okay, so in this case, we've got 2.665. And the way I like to draw it is like this, sorry, 3.66. So the resultant. And then it's easy to find the angle. So remember, let's say we've got both negatives. So Rx is equal to minus 6.2 newtons. Ry is equal to minus 10 newtons. So let's start from here, go this way. Minus 6.2 is going to be like this. Ry is minus 10 newtons. It's going to be like this. So the resultant will be, then how do you calculate one of the angles? Theta. Tangent theta is equal to 10 over 6.2. So theta is just the inverse 10 over 6.2. I'm hoping that you do understand this because it's going to be important. I want to share with you an insight into something else. So in one of the questions, you have 65 newtons, then you've got 35 newtons. This is 33 degrees. This is 47 degrees. So how are you going, which angle are you going to use for the components of 65? So basically, what you need to do, you try to determine, so let's say this is F1, try to determine F1y and F1x. So how do I know this is the way it's going to be? Well, you can also just look at which quadrant it's in. If it's in this quadrant, it's positive, positive. If it's in this quadrant, it's positive, negative. In terms of y is going to be positive, y is going to be negative. In this quadrant, it's going to be negative, positive. This quadrant's negative, negative. So when I draw this, I just imagine it's 4 quadrants. So I know it's going to be positive, positive based on the quadrant it's in. So here's where the question comes in. What angle am I going to use? What is theta going to be? Well, I'm given 47 and I'm given 33. You just add the two. So theta would be 47 degrees plus 33 degrees. What is that? 80 degrees. And then you just work with that. So that's F1y is equal to, this is 65, 65 times sine 80. Use the information given because you would have studied geometry prior to this class. think about any other questions you might have.
Hi, sir. Just to clarify, what are we studying besides vectors?
Have I mentioned anything besides vectors? I might
No.
have indicated that we might be having conversions, but all the questions are vector questions. So that's all you need to worry about for this test. The next
Thank you,
test
sir.
will have moments and torque, not this test.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
So I know in the past I've had conversions, but I've removed them because I think it's more important for you to become well versed in vectors at this stage.
Hi, Professor. I have a
I
question.
Yes, go ahead.
For the test on Monday, do we need any special software to download to
No,
write it?
no.
And
Just,
also,
so you'll have I'll also email it to those, or I'll make it available to those of you who are writing it at that different times. So depending on the time, I might have alternate. And then all you do is download it, have your camera, and write the test.
okay, sounds
I
good.
just want to make sure you're writing the test. Otherwise, it's not a test. It's just another assignment, which this is not meant to be supposed to be a test. You have to
Yeah,
have limited time and you have to write it quickly. There's a bit of stress involved, time limitation, and you have to write it yourself.
yeah, exactly. I also have another question here. Uh, so I think the meeting times for writing the test are 11 and 3 o'clock, right?
Yes,
Okay, and we'll have an hour to finish it, right?
or more than an hour, 1 hour and 15.
Okay, okay, thank you.
Okay, if nobody has any questions, then I guess we're done. I didn't want to add additional lecture material while you're preparing for your test, so I wanted to leave the session to give you a chance to ask me any questions. If you note, for week 6, I have posted the solutions, so that should help you because I haven't had a chance to mark it.
Question, sir.
Yep.
So do I have to just email you about my ICE, like the extra time stuff, or?
Yeah, just email me and remind me. You'll get the extra time. Just remind me.
Okay,
Or you can
okay,
private message me during the test or email me during the
okay,
test. Yeah, no
okay.
problem.
All right, thank you.